Times haven't changed that much. I just looked at I got a card in the mail about another exhibit going on downtown. And I always count the women. You know, there's like 30 artists and I want to say 8 of them are women.
My name is Sarah Castillo and I've been an artist since I was a kid, but professionally since 2009. And I started LadyBased in 2013.
I just recently, this year, met Sarah Castillo, who is the curator who basically discovered me. You know, I've spent my life in photography. I've been published around the world and across the country. Yeah, all of that. But you know what, now here in San Antonio, this is my hometown. Having transitioned, it basically killed my professional career.
I've known about LadyBased Gallery for the past, I think it's been about a year since I found out about them, just because one of my very good friends had her show with them last Foro Septiembre, and that was Arlene Mejorado. And through her, we all kind of connected via Instagram. So that's how I came about eventually now debuting my show with them.
The opportunity presented itself for me to have my own studio at a local arts gallery called Gaista Gallery, which no longer exists, but was a part of the community for such a long time, run by Joe Lopez. And with that, I decided that I wasn't ready for an art studio, and because at the time in my life where I felt that I was being provided with so many opportunities as an artist, and I really wanted to just make sure that I wasn't just like taking but also giving back, helping other artists. And so I wanted to create this space because you know, growing up saying like I've always been an artist since I was a kid and being creative, but at the same time it's a challenge of not being accepted as an artist, and particularly like with family. And all in good faith, you know, to want me to be like a banker or, you know, someone, a profession that is like, obviously is where I would make more money and be more independent. And but with that, so I have an idea of what it's like to be surrounded by people who don't necessarily support you as an artist. The love could be there still, but you know, not understanding. And I wanted to be able to provide a space for folks in this, you know, in similar situations who wanted to be artists. And with that, I realize how important it is to have a space. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't have a space, it doesn't get very far. There's so much just to having your own art show. There's so many aspects to it, not just creating the work. And so I wanted that to be a platform for all those experiences and lessons.
Oh, the San Antonio art community. I mean, I've been part of it for so long, so it's bittersweet. I love the people here. I love the artists. I don't think we're supported by the city, and as much, and I mean community. The community members they don't take the artists in San Antonio seriously. I don't think the city, like government, takes the artists seriously. I don't think we're being platformed as we should have been many years ago. I think they're just getting you know, rolling. These last couple of years they're actually paying us to do shows now. The budget's still extremely small if you compare it to other major cities, and we're one of the 6 major cities in the country, so they have a lot of work to do. The city itself in terms of funding the arts in San Antonio, especially because people come from Florida, New York, and California to see our art. They want our art. They collect our art.
You know, I always think that San Antonio has the best art community. I mean, I don't have a lot to compare it to because I've lived here for so long, but it's super supportive. I think that the curators here at our museum are really well known within the community for supporting the artists that are working locally. So I love that. Yes, of course, there's always going to be kind of that starving artist paradigm, but here in San Antonio, there's really a lot of opportunity from my perspective.
I went to college, obviously, in the Northeast. I went to graduate school in the Northeast as well. I spent 11 years there. And coming back to Texas, I mean, I was made aware all over again of some of the really strong regional differences. And I had grown up in Houston, which is, in many ways, certainly much more diverse and in certain respects much more progressive than San Antonio. And coming back here, it was kind of amazing to see, because I realized I'd gotten so used to the culture of Boston and Philadelphia and New York, to come back and see that that's just not how things operate.
I want to say it was 2002 that I had an art exhibit at the main library, the downtown library here in town, and it was for Segundo de Febrero, which is February 2nd. And I remember, and that's the day that they signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. In other words, that's the day that basically the U.S. took all this land and stole it from Mexico. And they signed it, and then the red, so it's this exhibit about, being Mexican, being here, knowing that this is the U.S. and Texas, but it's really Mexico, first and foremost. So that was a huge exhibit because it was political. But I remember looking at the card, the name card. There was like more than 50 artists. I mean, for sure, because there were just names on the little card. And there were 2 women in that show, and I was one of them, and Adriana Garcia, who's a great friend of mine, was another one. And I remember going to the opening, and I didn't know we were only 2 until we got there. And I'm like, we're the only women in this show. And this was like not that long ago. I mean, this is 15 years ago. So times haven't changed that much. I just looked at I got a card in the mail about another exhibit going on downtown. And I always count the women. There's like 30 artists, and I want to say 8 of them are women. It's a Latino exhibit, so they're all Latinas, but still, I'm just like, still 8 of them? It's always been a problem. Down to the point where if I confront a man who's curating a show, I'm like, why didn't you call, this woman? Why didn't you call Kim Bishop? Why didn't you call Diana, Sara, Rebel? I mean, there's so many people. Why didn't you call them? And they'll say, oh, well, I did, but they didn't answer. Or they're just hard to get a hold of, or I just can't, they never answer their phone. And I'm like, next time call me, I'll get them. It's always been a problem. It's still a problem. It's still a huge problem.
I think that the value of the work a lot of the times is placed on the person who's creating it, and not so much on the importance or the context of the work that's being created and presented to the public. Is it acceptable? Who is deciding that it's acceptable? And then a lot of times in arts institutions, the ones who make the rules are technically not the marginalized communities. And so it's a lot of work for someone outside of who's not within a marginalized community to see how important it is to bring up these voices. But we exist, but overall, I feel like since I was in a collective called Masrudas, I could start there and say that 5 Chicana artists coming together because we didn't see ourselves, women of color, and our work, our Mexican American Chicana experiences in the galleries, even in our artist-run galleries to the institutional galleries in town. So because we exist, our voices and our work, our creativity, our insights are still silenced. I'd say now that more independently run artist spaces are more reflective of the communities that I'm a part of, which creates a sense of solidarity and a sense of a visibility that that we should have, you know. And so I don't think that we're actually there yet, and it's not something that's been resolved, but it has changed, I could say, since 2009, with a lot of the independent run spaces that have blossomed.
The biggest thing would be, and I guess in reference to here to San Antonio with the art community as a Latina artist, would be that, for example, with all the promotion that was happening with my show, we ended up getting the cover of The Current for that month or that week, and that was great, and it was, you know, great exposure, and it was, you know, an honor to be recognized at that level. But at the same time, I remember having a meeting with Rebel and with Sarah, and we talked about it, because as soon as she saw it, she called me, and she was like, "This just happened. I did not give consent or permission. Are you okay? What do you want to do?" So that was something that we talked about, kind of touching on the theme of like being a Latina artist. I think sometimes when things like that happen, it's like we're expected to be grateful and just stay quiet about it. But something like that isn't okay. And not just for me, but for, I don't know if they had permission from any of the other artists that they used in the collage, but that's a big thing, and it seems insignificant. And I mean, I appreciated the press, I appreciated the exposure, but it's the principle of it. And but like I said, Sarah and Rebel were so supportive that like literally as soon as it happened, Sarah was calling me to make sure like, hey, I didn't approve this, they didn't ask for permission, and it was a learning experience for her, for me too. But things like that I think still happen that maybe aren't so obvious and so, you know, just in your face. But at the same time, it still feels kind of like exploitation.
Sarah has an eye. Okay, she has a natural sense of what's important, what's beautiful, what needs to be said, what people need to see. She can do that. She literally picked me up from obscurity, and you know, I've already had one major exhibit this year. The United We Are, which she curated. She was one of several curators. She's curating the Pride exhibit, which I was picked for next year, which is one of the city's major exhibits. Because she discovered me, I'm here in this place. I was chosen for the city's 300th anniversary, the Common Currents. I'm one of 50 artists that will be showing at the Southwest School of Art in March 2018. Sarah, thank you, Sarah. You made it happen. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And now, you know, she's going to do the same for other people.
LadyBased has never missed a mark. In fact, every opening that has happened, even during Sarah's most busiest time of her life, while finishing grad school, LadyBased has never missed a mark in challenging its audience. And it already has an audience that's progressive, and that's feminist, and that's you know, looking in every direction, or as many directions as possible, and still LadyBased will challenge those of us who we think we're like, we're there, we're on the mark, we're thinking with, you know, bold, and then we go to a LadyBased exhibit and we're like, damn, like, wait, we're learning. Like, LadyBased really pushes the envelope, and we need that in San Antonio.